Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a lineup of terrifying encounters to share with you. Before we get into these encounters, though, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook version. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. They're available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. The links to those audiobooks are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload. Shall we? Today's first part of the upload is absolutely terrifying for two reasons. One, you've got something going around your village killing your animals, and two, lack of government help. For a few terrifying months in 2008, the town of Makva, Serbia, experienced the deadly rampage of an unknown cryptid firsthand. Villagers awoke most mornings to discover some unknown beast had brutally slaughtered their livestock. The carnage of dead goats, sheep, and chickens was so enormous that the frustrated and terrified citizens of Makva simply stopped counting them after the first several dozen. Initially, the villagers contacted their local police force for help, which, unfortunately, led to increased frustration, because the authorities didn't believe them and weren't interested in taking the case. Lack of cooperation might have made sense if there had only been one incident, but this was definitely a unique situation given the sheer number of brutal attacks. It's curious and a bit intriguing to contemplate the possible motives behind the complete lack of action taken by the authorities who completely ignored the nightly deaths. Presumably the police, even the corrupt ones, are primarily charged with protecting the safety and property of their citizens. So it's incredibly odd that a ravenous beast slaughtering livestock would have gone uninvestigated. In fact, it's odd enough to raise the possibility their failure to investigate the situation was intentional. Was someone in authority at Makva's police force or local government protecting themselves or a loved one by refusing to investigate the attacks? This would definitely make sense if the beast was actually some sort of shapeshifter who had influence on local politics while they were in human form. Local resident Milorad Trizik Bakura witnessed the ferocious actions of the beast firsthand when he lost several animals in one night. According to Bakura's account, the beast appeared to target the largest animal it could find, killing 2 lamb, 2 goat, and 3 sheep. Even stranger than the beast's selection criteria was the fact it kept all of its activities inside a small killing radius of only a few hundred meters. No other nearby villages reported similar attacks, which makes absolutely no sense that a wild animal would repeatedly focus all its attention on just one small village. Large predators are known to have equally large hunting territories, and considering the fact this predator animal had easy access to several nearby villages. But it became even more unusual for these attacks to have been so centralized in just one area. Stanimir Strajko, Bakura's neighbor, was the first villager to lose his livestock to the jaws of the creature. According to his eyewitness account, the poor animals were attacked and damaged so viciously that their internal organs were completely crushed. Samir indicated that he had never seen anything like this during his entire 80 years of life. He was shocked at how quickly and easily the beast was able to destroy a full-grown sheep. At first it seemed like the villagers were waking up every morning to a string of new attacks. However, this quickly changed and the beast's action became extremely unpredictable. There were periods of times when the attacks would happen night after night for several days in a row, but then the beast would apparently lie dormant for up to 10 nights at a time. This made it even more difficult for the villagers to protect their livestock, leading to increased concerns about the safety of every animal and human in a nearby area. Again, the villagers pressed the local police to assist them, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. After it became obvious there would be no nighttime help, the villagers tried a different approach and requested the police to visit each home with a dog. Local hunters and veterinarians offered to accompany the police while they examined the dogs in the village to help them determine if some dogs had become afflicted with bloodlust. The proposal seemed reasonable because it would have explained the unusually small radius within all the attacks occurring. Unfortunately, although not expected, the police also refused to participate in this endeavor and again left the villagers to fend for themselves. There's no logical reason for the continued refusal of the police to assist these people during the time of crisis, unless, of course, they were hiding something. Even though the police were completely ineffectual, the villagers did take steps to attempt to keep their livestock safe. In fact, they quickly mobilized into action after the very first attack. Sadly, none of their efforts seemed to dissuade the beast from its murderous plans. Safer stables were built using the strongest wood available, and the top of the stables were lined with barbed wire. These stables were then secured with a thick lock, but the beast ended up merely crushing these locks and pushing its way inside. This very curious action of forcing open doors seemed to indicate the beast had basic understanding of the way the locks worked, and is another reason it makes sense to speculate the village was actually dealing with some sort of shapeshifter instead of a wild animal. However, it should be noted that there were some cases when the locks were left untouched, highlighting the fact that the creature was able to jump at least 6 feet high. According to the villagers, the Makva beast was unstoppable after it picked up even the slightest scent of blood. After several months of living in fear and suffering from devastating financial losses, the beast disappeared just as quickly as it originally appeared. Several years have passed since the last livestock attacks in Makva, but this doesn't prevent the residents from continuing to speculate over what actually happened in their small village in 2008. At this point, the only thing everyone agrees on is the obvious impossibility. These attacks were carried out by a jackal or a fox because these predatory animals are too small to have accomplished all of the horrible deeds attributed to this unseen beast. Is it possible an influential shapeshifter targeted Makva for a while before deciding to move on? This is just as likely as an explanation as any other the villagers have come up with, and it could definitely shed some light on the appalling lack of action displayed by the local authorities. Either way, we do know for certain that some type of beast terrorized Makva in 2008, and its actions were not consistent with any of the local wildlife. Therefore, it's understandable why the people in this small village still feel trepidation when they check their livestock every morning. With any luck, the beast will never return, but it's impossible to feel safe without knowing why the beast disappeared. However, if the patterns of similar shape-shifting cryptids are indications of what's to come, this will not be the last the villagers see of this shapeshifter. Today's second part of the upload is definitely another media and government cover-up, and it definitely shows that the powers that be do not care about the citizens of the United States. I will share with you guys this brief little ditty here and then discuss a little bit about it after, but I encourage everybody to check it out on your own, because you learn a lot from listening to somebody, but I think you learn more while reading up on it yourselves as well. So, a 70-year-old woman went missing back in June of 2014 in Mount Rainier National Park. Karen Sykes, an outdoor journalist, was out on a hike with a friend when they decided to split up due to some concerns about hiking on a snow-covered terrain, some of which was melting and causing a blockage on the path they had chosen. Sykes continued on, while her friend stayed behind. It was the last time Sykes was seen alive. Her body was found Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. However, as of yet, no cause of death has been released. A commonly known fact, even with experienced hikers, is that sometimes you get lost and go missing. So, was this just a case of poor judgment on the part of Karen Sykes, or was there something else lurking in the woods? Possibly a dogman. Mount Rainier National Park is a huge volcanic mountain hiking area located in Washington State. With its many miles of snow-covered mountainous trails, its streams, lakes, and wildlife, it's not hard to see how a person could be lured into nature's beauty. However, that beauty can betray, and it often does, as Karen Sykes unfortunately discovered. There were many who stated that the location of her body was quite puzzling, as it doesn't coincide with the trail she was supposed to be on. Yet another mysterious circumstance in the puzzling ordeal. The trails of Mount Rainier are often hiked, although the location is quite remote. It is possible that Sykes' body was dragged or carried to where it was found, as it was in question as to why she was there. Could there have been a possible dogman or Sasquatch which had targeted Sykes for an easy meal? A 70-year-old woman hiking alone in the remote wilderness would be a dogman's dream meal. She would be easy pickings for a predator. With the lack of dismemberment or wounds found on her body, at least as of the writing in the news article, it could lead one to believe that a werewolf or dogman may have been spooked before dinner time, possibly just other hikers. In May, a group of 6 hikers went missing while trying to reach the summit of Mount Rainier. They disappeared without a trace and have been presumed dead by authorities. With these kinds of mysterious disappearances happening in such short period of time, speculations of something more sinister creeps into the imagination of all who keep up with this type of news. 6 hikers in May, and now Karen Sykes in June. The solitude of the wilderness setting and the likes of Mount Rainier National Forest would be an ideal hunting ground for a dogman or even a pack of dogmen. As authorities pass these occurrences off as unfortunate incidents, there are those who believe that this has happened too many times and too often to simply be a mere case of lost in the woods. Absolutely. I mean, just in the last 2 years, we've had 3 older women attacked and killed, 4 if you want to count the woman in Colorado. And yeah, it would be easy pickings. 6 hikers go missing in May, then a woman in June. It fits the pattern, right? It really does, if you think about it. Also, this woman was an experienced outdoors woman. I mean, yeah, she's 70 years old, but you think experience really doesn't know an age. It actually only gets better with age. And 70 is old in a way, but is it really? I mean, I know a lot of people who are older that are still quite active. Also, the woman was... Well, you'll see when you research it. I truly, truly urge you guys to check it out because some articles say she died of hypothermia. There's still, this happened in 2014, there's still people talking about it to this day, saying, hey, this is a crazy, cover-up, lie. Doesn't make sense. There's just too many things that don't make sense when you do check it out. So yeah, please, humor me and just do a little research and you'll see what I'm talking about. Today's third part of the upload. The farmlands of southern Wisconsin may seem like an ideal place to live and raise a family, with the rolling hills and wooded outcrops surrounding dairy farms and small towns. However, a dark legend looms over the town of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and its neighboring townships. A creature rumored to be half man, half wolf, Dogman, has been roaming the countryside for decades. It's known as the Beast of Bray Road. Bray Road Beast for short, and has become one of the most popular urban legends of our time. But is it really an urban legend? This is an individual account of one eyewitness who claims to have seen this elusive creature not once but twice but 5 times since 2002. Don Young is a hunter and hunted guide who lives in southern Wisconsin and claims to have seen the Dogman more times than any other person, a recorded 5 encounters. During his most recent encounter, he said that he spotted the creature through the scope of his hunting rifle in the summer of 2006 and claimed it was 6 to 7 feet in height. Black and brown fur, it was bulky with low-hanging muscular arms, and its feet were very human-like. His description of the creature's black eyes is almost very similar to other reports. Mr. Young goes on to tell how he had the creature in his sights, but he couldn't convince himself to pull the trigger, not knowing if the creature was real or just a man in a suit playing a joke. Had he pulled the trigger and it turned out to be a person instead of the beast, he would have went down for murder. Likewise, if it was a wolf or a bear, then it would have been poaching, as he didn't have the proper licenses for hunting those animals at the time. The next thing Mr. Young recalls is the creature made a 12-foot leap across a nearby ditch before heading into the woods and disappearing from his view. In retrospect, by his own deduction of this experience and based on his years in field as a hunter and guide, Young claims that it could not have been a man in a suit after all, because it was far too big and because a person could not leap a ditch like that. He also believes that it could not have been a bear, although the build was similar because bears also can't leap that significant distance. Finally, he ruled out the possibility of the creature being a wolf because the creature didn't remotely resemble the build of a wolf or a dog. Whatever it was that Mr. Young had encountered so many times in the woods of southern Wisconsin, he is but one of the many living witnesses to the legend of the Beast of Bray Road. As logic and reason rest in his mind, Mr. Young has let this mystery of what the beast really is to live another day. Today's fourth part of the upload, we are going to stay in that Wisconsin area, Elkhorn, West Bend. This is a encounter that you may have heard, but I have a lot of other little info tidbits that I'm adding to it, as well as other little encounters that have been mentioned in that same area. West Bend, a 39-year-old Menasha man, has found himself in the middle of Washington County's wild man of the wilderness fever. Stephen Kruger doesn't know where all of this Bigfoot talk has come from, but he will not be sorry to see it stop. I hope it just goes away. It's starting to get irritating, Kruger states. I never once said it was a Bigfoot or a Yeti. The Sheriff's Department report only mentions a creature approximately 7 feet tall, very black, and very wide. After some kind of creature startled Kruger early Thursday morning while working at his Department of Natural Resources contracting job, he deliberated reporting it because he knew there'd be skeptics. Kruger finally decided he should alert the Sheriff's Department in case it was a bear or another dangerous animal. Kruger said he used to hunt black bear, which is what this animal looked like, except for the ears. They were sort of pointy, not exactly like a wolf, but definitely not rounded like a black bear's, Kruger states. The DNR licenses Kruger to remove deer carcasses in Washington and 4 other counties. Washington County faxes me every morning and gives me a complete list to exact location of where the deer are. I make my run. At around 1 in the morning, Thursday morning, he stopped to pick up a small doe on Highway 167, about a third of a mile east of Station Way Road in the town of Erin. Put the deer in the bed of the truck, sat in his cab filling out the necessary paperwork, left the tailgate down because he still had to tag the deer. Kruger felt his truck rock and thought it was just the wind, but when it rocked again, he checked in his mirror to see, in the light of his truck-mounted spotlight, an animal reaching for the doe with its front paws. He said he was startled, so he slammed the truck into drive and peeled off. The deer was dragged or fell off the truck, along with an all-terrain vehicle ramp. Kruger couldn't be sure exactly what he saw. A black lab could have jumped in the back of the bed, and it would have startled me because I wasn't expecting it, he states. Kruger said Milwaukee television stations had contacted him trying to push the Bigfoot angle. He said he kept the discussion away from that direction, but they ran the story anyway. He asked for a correction. The attention had the area buzz with the idea of a southeastern Wisconsin Sasquatch. That's the word that has bombarded him, states Bill Mitchell, the county's DNR conservation warden. We were working this morning, and everywhere we went, people wanted to know about it. With hunting season coming up, folks joked with Mitchell about licensing. Would it require a big game or small game license? Or would archery license work? About 60 people from BFRO, Bigfoot Field Research Organization, hit the trail this summer for a 3-day weekend expedition in Wisconsin, northern Price County, looking for the Sasquatch. Around that same time, Bigfoot footage was posted on YouTube claiming to have been shot on the 4th of July near St. Croix Falls in Polk County. A total of 34 Wisconsin sightings have been reported to the BFRO website, ranking it smack in the middle of the lower 48 states. But not a single report has come out of Washington County or any southeastern Wisconsin. Mitchell said although rare, there is a history of timber wolf, black bear, and large coyote sightings in the area, and as far as south of Milwaukee County, which could account for what Kruger saw. But then again, my wife just pointed out Halloween Express just sold off their costume at clearance prices. Kruger said it was inconceivable the creature was a prankster. He didn't see a single other vehicle or a person as he drove down Highway K to calm himself, or when he went back briefly to search for his ramp. By Friday afternoon, someone sent the Sasquatch story to Jeffrey Meldorn, professor of anatomy and anthropology at Idaho State. As one of the world's foremost authorities on Bigfoot, he's familiar with the sensation of sighting can stir. I only giggled on that because nobody is an expert. So, I mean, the guy's he's got great theories, he's done his work, he's put his time in, but he's not an expert. Because no one truly is. Sorry. I've been out with people, and every puddle of water that has a remote shape of a humanoid footprint, they go, "Ah, look at that. Could that be a big footprint?" Meldrum said. Last week, the Associated Press ran a story about colleagues who shunned Meldrum for practicing quack science. Ironically, Meldrum's new book, endorsed by world-famous primatologist Jane Goodall, is Sasquatch, Legend Meets Science. From my perspective, I'm not dealing with just an accumulation of those stories and reports. As a physical anthropologist, I constrain myself to a consideration of data that lends itself to scientific analysis. Many academics and layperson alike won't denounce the legend, but also won't acknowledge evidence until there is a smoking gun, or a Sasquatch skeleton, he said. Meldrum said he takes the scientific route. I'll see the feature in a print which looks to me like a metatarsal pressure ridge, which makes it very different and much more flexible than a human's foot. So, let's do some experiments. His tests range from examining other ape prints to plotting sightings against environmental habitat using geography. To study bioacoustics of the animal's vocalization, personal beliefs aside, he bases his findings on data, which he feels supports the idea of the species being a legend. Kruger said if Bigfoot did exist, it would probably live in a more remote environment like the Rockies or Pacific Northwest, but anything's possible. I'm not sure how I would personally react if I saw one, Meldrum said. I've had people tell me it's a life-changing possibility because they've been told their whole lives that this thing could not possibly exist, and boom, large as life, there it is. This is a couple of blog things that I found that go along with this same case, so that's why I'm sharing it. Hold on to your hats, folks, and if you live in Wisconsin, you know this beast has been on the run all week long. This monster is believed to be a hybrid of half ape, half wolf, possibly in its breeding season looking for a mate. This weekend is Wisconsin's annual deer gun opener. If you are in that area, keep alert. It is believed to be heading back northwest towards its origin area of first sighting in more remote areas of the state, so be posted. November 14th, 2006, 2 more sightings in Washington County confirmed. Today, not only did Mike Miller of WISN confirm that he did have another sighting reported to his station that occurred in November of 2004, 2 other people told him today that they saw what could be the same creature just this Sunday night on November 12th, north of West Bend. WISN is putting together a segment about new developments as word is beginning to trickle out that this was not a Bigfoot. In 2004, sighting was of a quadruped, not a biped, as earlier reported, and occurred on Highway 60 between Slinger and Mayfield near Jay at 5 in the morning. This is about 5 miles northeast of Kruger's sighting. Miller states, the animal they saw cross the road shifted its weight strangely on its hind legs. I'm hoping to get more details. The sighting this Sunday night was made by 2 men northeast of West Bend on Shalom Drive just off of Highway 144 at 8:30 p.m. The creature crossed the road in front of them on all fours. It was the size of a deer, they said, but was not a deer. It had the head of a wolf, a furry, muscular body that was far too lean to be a bear. It was as large as a gray wolf. The witness' exact words. It was the size of a large deer, but with a large back and shoulders, thick fur, a massive wolf-like head, pointed ears, and no tail. They said it lumbered across the road, showing no concern for their approaching vehicle. The driver stopped, got out, and looked around, but could not find any footprints. The creature had disappeared into the woods. The driver, who actually wrote the email, said it was then that his friend told him about the Holy Hill sighting, and that was the first he knew of it. Most impressed by the fact that it had no tail, since other witnesses have reported seeing wolf-headed creatures walk both on 2 and 4 legs during the same sighting, I see no reason this couldn't be the same thing Kruger saw steal the deer carcass. A brilliant suggestion from a reader to ask Kruger whether he had noticed any waves of missing carcasses and whether there may be a pattern. Asked, he said this occurs frequently, but he's never thought to record them, so he wasn't able to give times or locations. He did vow to begin making daily notes, however, in case there were spots that seemed to be visited more than others. 11/13/2006. WISN apparently sitting on a second witness story. Washington County cryptid witness Steve Kruger continues to be wooed by assorted and diverse media, researchers, and curiosity seekers, but he has decided not to allow himself to be shown on camera, he said, for the sake of his family and his employment. He has been cooperating with local researcher Mike Lane, and he has been back to the site to look for the AWOL ATV ramp with no luck. There are plans to be in the sighting area this week, mostly to photograph the terrain since others have been searching the area fruitlessly. Mike Lane, an independent and part-time researcher who knows the Holy Hill area well, has combed the area, and the day after Kruger's sighting did see large unidentified footprints from something bipedal that he followed for about a mile until they disappeared into the swamp. The prints were not sharp enough to cast or describe, other than appearing just to have been made by something very heavy, said Lane. He also found 2 abandoned barns in an open area 200 yards off of the road at the sighting area. One contained a hay pile where it appeared something had been bedding down, but Lane could find no hairs, droppings, or any other evidence of what the bedder may be. Lane has installed motion-sensitive camera with permission of the landowner and baited the area around it. He also noted that Kruger told him the creature had wide shoulders, and that this made him think it was not a bear. Bears, when they stand up, have no shoulders to speak of, said Lane, a lifelong hunter and tracker. Also much promoted, corporate-backed Bigfoot hunter Tom Biscardi also plans to be in the area soon, according to Kruger. Kruger has authorized that Biscardi phoned him and repeatedly asked him if it wasn't a Bigfoot, after all, that Kruger has seen. He kept saying, "Bigfoot, Bigfoot," said Kruger. Kruger pointedly told him no, and Biscardi then informed Kruger that these things are migrating southward right now, Bigfoot outfitted with tracking collars, and that he plans to come to Washington County with a full crew this weekend no matter what. He added that he had 12 personal encounters with Bigfoot, and that there had been another sighting south of Kruger's reported just yesterday. Biscardi also reported talking with the West Bend newspaper. Well, Steve Kruger will take any help he can to find his missing ATV ramp. The thing is, the creature was spotted in a huge area of natural cover, waterways, marshes. Large carnivores need to roam vast areas every day in order to get their daily calorie requirement. So it's unlikely to be hanging around that same exact area it was spotted before, especially with all the commotion and extra traffic that's been generated. Still, I wish Biscardi well. He said he is bringing a thermal imaging camera. Nobody wants to see one of these various species photographed more than I do, and I don't really care who first brings it home. Besides, if all of these make people finally realize just how many upright furry cryptids have been sighted in southern Wisconsin area over the past 6 decades, as I've been trying to document over the past 14 years, that will make the media circus worth it. And then we have 11/12/6, second witness comes forward allegedly. WISN Milwaukee aired the second story on Washington County deer snatcher. A second witness came forward, told Channel 12 news anchor Mike Miller that he saw the same creature 2 years ago on Highway 60. This person did not see the entire creature and said that it walked on its hind legs. Its weight shifted from side to side. The first report said that it occurred on Highway 60 and J, but I'm not sure of the location and will be checking on the rest of the story as well. This witness reportedly has said he will tell his story on camera, perhaps on the 10 o'clock news. Breaking news. Washington County, Wisconsin. Bigfoot reported. November 9th, 2006. Is not a Bigfoot. After a lengthy phone interview with Steve Kruger, a 39-year-old contractor reported to have seen a Bigfoot take the deer from the back of his pickup truck early in the morning of 11/9/6. I can say with some confidence that it was not a Bigfoot, and in fact was not any easily recognized animal at all, according to his description. It was either an upright canid or a creature called the bear wolf. Kruger wishes TV channels had not reported that he said he saw a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and says he never stated it was any of those things. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Pretty much what I was getting at on this whole upload was media cover-ups, government cover-ups, powers that be do not care. They just don't, regardless of what country you live in. The Serbia incident, or that's one country, Mount Rainier. They don't care. They just, who cares? Blah 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 blah. Less people, more money. Or when the media does cover these stories, they pretty much make the person out like he is just a buffoon, which is terrible. It's unfortunate, because then people really don't want to come out and share their experiences, and that's what the media is prepped to do. Either hide it or make it look like a joke, and it's sad, especially on the last part of this one. This poor guy, Steven Kruger, he didn't say it was a Bigfoot, yet the media keeps saying, oh, you saw a Bigfoot. And then they suck in these, and I'm only saying wannabe because really they're wannabes, because they work for the Travel Channel or Discovery USA or whatever the hell these things are. And those shows are entertaining. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're entertaining, but they don't do anything for the community except make us look like tinfoil hat wearing idiots. And that's not what we are. We are not that. We are honest people. We are people from all walks of life that have seen or believe. I've interviewed people that work 50 hours to 60 hours a day in a metal shop. And I've interviewed wealthy people. I've interviewed policemen. And it's from all walks of life. And these people were some of the sanest, nicest people I've ever met. From all different walks of life. And then here the media come to just, say, look at these quacks. And that's what they do. They either hide it or just, I don't know, make us look idiots. Look like idiots. Make us look idiots. Duh. Make us look like idiots. It's just unfortunate. It really is, because so many people then just don't want to share their encounters or experiences, which helps other people and themselves. And the worst part is these people that, claim to be experts, and they claim it, they really do. They're on their TV show, legs crossed, pipe in their mouth, and too starched of a collar. I'm an expert, and I study these things for years, and yes. But they've never seen one, and if they did, they'd drop a deuce in their drawers and run like crazy. I mean, come on, man. Anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And let's truly remember, guys, that unity is the one thing that's going to get us. And I know I was just knocking these guys, but they're not real researchers. Real researchers are people that really care. People that really just, take the time to listen, take the time to map things out. And even if we don't all agree on something, on everything, we all agree on one thing, is that these things are out there. So, I know that people have disliked me in this community. But, what they fail to realize is, yeah, we all believe in Dogman and Bigfoot. That's one thing that we all believe in. So we're not that much different. But unity is the key, my friends. Unity is the key. And with that, I'm gonna bid you farewell and see ya!